So apparently, the PlayStation Super Sampling Resolution system is one that Digital Foundry is taking an analytical approach to. I want to follow the process because, guys, remember, one thing about this conversation is your credibility will be questioned, but you got to make sure that you come back and own up to mistakes that you make, or maybe in a sense, collect some receipts. Now, I made at the onset of this PlayStation 5 Pro reveal that the proposition was not worth it. PlayStation 5 Pro has the biggest limitation that you can put to your system, and then basically giving you a graphic improvement and not giving you a CPU to actually maximize the graphic improvement. But they decided that they were going to bring an upscaler to come in and do some of the heavy lifting. Now, put this all in perspective, it has not necessarily yielded the improvements that a lot of people would have actually expected in several games that they've been showing lately. Some games, Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart, The Last of Us Part 2, and even maybe say, I don't know, there's been another game that was shown. These games have responded well to PSSSR. However, the industry and its challenges cannot be hidden by any upscaler. This is what the PC community learned the hard way. We basically bought, these devices to realize that optimization is something that is far, fetched from a lot of developers out here. So now that the, PS5 Pro is out, the PSSSR system is being tested with different games. It's interesting to go back and take a look now to see how they're performing, to see what's going on. Silent Hill 2 was one of those games that came out on PC. It was challenging to run. On the PlayStation 5, it was challenging to run. And on the PS5 Pro, they were able to see some improvements. However, there's a new development. And Digital Foundry, they're going to go ahead and share this development here. And we're going to take a listen and pretty much kind of, just figure out what's going on.
This topic is actually future Rich and future Oliver here, because we've just finished up talking about PSSR in our past incarnations, but now we've had to insert this new segment because Silent Hill 2 has actually received a new patch for PlayStation 5 Pro. And I guess the good news is that the graphical issues in the performance mode at least have been addressed. That's the good news. However, there's quite a lot to this story. And
which is what, Richard? Y'all feel that uncomfortable laugh? I feel like these guys have to hold back a lot of laughter and just, I'm not saying anything wrong, and just farm the content from this device. And they're the most relevant, authority figure right now on this subject matter. But you can already tell deep down inside, they know that this console is not here to do the things that the hype men on the internet claimed it was going to do. I'm looking at these folk. Username on Twitter, A through, V. You can call it that way. Many of them fell into this category, and they're still over there arguing and trying to still save face. But the reality is, if these people, this is the testing point, ladies and gentlemen. If you bought a PS5 Pro, you have no issues here. You bought it because you wanted it. It's your money. Spend it how you want. If you want to light it on fire, if you want to do whatever, you want to buy a PS5 Pro for everyone in the comment section, by all means, do what you want with your money. However, this is targeted as those who came out to claim or position themselves as authority figures without knowing the full scope and the full depth of hardware, and said the PlayStation 5 Pro was going to be comparable to a RTX 4070. This madness must be dealt with. And I'm going to segment a lot of these PS5 Pro videos into a separate playlist so that the day that the receipts are needed, we're going to come back and we're going to be able to quickly reference it. So, Richard, what is this uncomfortable laugh that you have on your face?
It's probably best that Oliver take over to discuss the minutiae here, because it's quite an interesting solution to the problem at hand.
A hot potato. He passed it on to Oliver. Oliver's like, man, Rich, you got to let me rest, man.
Right, Oliver?
Solution is a strong word, Rich. I don't know that I'd say solution.
Okay, mitigation.
Mitigation is, I think, a more accurate term. I would agree with that. Basically, as a recap here, the initial version of Silent Hill 2 shipped with TSR and PS5, and that's the current state on PS5 as well. But
mitigation. Huh. That sounds like damage control. Let me not say too much.
As of patch 1.05, which dropped in October, late October, they changed that upsampling solution to PSSR for the PS5 Pro there. They had some kind of PS5 Pro enhancement. Enhancement, again, probably not the term I would use. because it kind of had a very negative impact on image quality. It had a lot of noise. The image, it introduced a lot of noise to the image, and the lumen GI and lumen reflections did not do a good job of constructing that detail. TSR did a better job, and by all indications, especially when Tom looked at it last week, the TSR resolve on PS5 was actually better than the PSSR resolve on PS5 Pro, and kind of broadly speaking, maybe even the PS5 version was the superior version, although the PS5 Pro version did have some performance improvements.
So listen, ladies and gentlemen, rasterization is a very big deal. This is why AMD stays relevant in the market, because their GPUs can rasterize. Like, they can punch out frames. You see, don't let PlayStation come out here and, PSSSR on your leg and call it rain. Don't let them do that. You have to be very analytical and be very careful, because these guys are out for your dough by doing the bare minimum. And this AI solution seems like it's come in here to try to save everybody from accountability. Developers on one side, hardware manufacturers on the other side, right? And you see, that's the beauty of it. We're not going to let it just slide, because if we let it slide, people are going to get scarred for their money. And so right now you're seeing this in real time. Yes, welcome to the conversation. Somebody said in the comments, section, that the PlayStation 5 Pro basically has all the drawbacks of PC and none of the benefits. Because at the end of the day, you may have to go back and just select the base PS5 mode to ignore all of the different challenges that the upscaled versions are giving you. And so at the end of the day, once you actually check the delta and figure out that in most cases, you are in a position where the game itself is running similar to the PS5 version at its best performance, which the developers have already put in the most amount of work, you're in a position where you're like, why did I even get a PlayStation 5 Pro? Now, some people have said for clarity's sake, if you played on an OLED TV, you get clarity and all that stuff. Okay, perhaps that's something that, you can benefit from. But again, you can't complain that the PC is an expensive platform, because you don't need an OLED TV for you to experience your clarity on a PC. Just putting that caveat there. But let's keep listening to Oliver. Let's see what he has to say.
But Bloober Team have now shipped patch 1.06, which promises to address these problems. And at least in the performance mode, I'd say they have basically achieved their aim there. Because if I show you the side-by-side here, you should be able to figure out kind of what's going on relatively quickly, which is they've just replaced PSSR with TSR.
Oh, so they went back to the solution that worked. Every game is going to be different. Again, they have PSSSR'd on your leg and called it rain, PlayStation. This is what we've been facing with NVIDIA for a long time. I remember I told you guys, and I made a video about this. We talked about this in one of these videos where I said, when the 7900 XT, 7900 XTX, those versions of the GPU were coming out, AMD promised FSR3. They launched the hardware without the implementation of FSR3, and so people were buying it on one condition. The FSR3 promise was just a side note. They were buying the 7900 XTX and the 7900 XT and all of the others that came out in that batch. This was around June, July of 2023, last year or so. They were buying it under the condition that they will raster and give you solid FPS performance without even any upscaling. They were just going to get the job done. The PlayStation 5 Pro, nonetheless, doesn't have that level of raster power for the $200 and something mark, and a PSSSR right now is not even coming through in the best possible situation that we can assess right now. The developers are looking and saying, this stuff is probably not good for our game in some instances. Some instances, they're seeing benefits. When we talked about, Alan Wake 2, do you remember, a lot of the mitigation that was done by some, hyper PlayStation fans? They said Alan Wake 2 is an NVIDIA sponsored game. That's what a lot of these folks said. Now, we're looking at Silent Hill 2. What is the excuse for that? Is this an NVIDIA sponsored game too? Or is this just a reality pill being hit and nobody wants to swallow it that easily?
That's evident in basically all the shots I have. You can notice how the GI is essentially stable and coherent now in motion and at rest. The reflections are much less noisy. You don't notice that kind of overbearing disocclusion issue when I'm turning James around here, where prior there was kind of this trail of disocclusion issues. Now that's actually being constructed properly with the RTGI there. It's a big improvement. And when I go back to the PS5 original, which is also on patch 1.06 here, image quality is extremely similar. The shots look just about identical in that respect. In terms of internal resolutions, I counted 1008p a couple of times.
Wow.
Which is kind of within the range of that base game, pretty much. Not that exciting there. But there is one weird thing that did come up for me, which is that the GI appears a little bit lighter, providing less of that kind of ambient shade in the environment as of patch 1.06, specifically on PS5 Pro in the performance mode. That's true compared to patch 1.05 on Pro, and also patch 1.06 in the performance mode and the quality mode on PS5. So I don't know what's going on there. Maybe something is happening that shouldn't be happening. Maybe they've changed some setting with Lumen. In terms of the performance mode...
What? Hold on. Did he just say that they kind of... Oh, whoa. Hold on, Oliver. What are you saying here?
That's true compared to patch 1.0 of times.
Hold on.
Which is kind of within the range of that base game, pretty much. Not that exciting there. But there is one weird thing that did come up for me, which is...
I hope he's not going to say what I think he's saying.
Is that the GI appears a little bit lighter, providing less of that kind of ambient shade in the environment as of patch 1.06, specifically on PS5 Pro in the performance mode. That's true compared to patch 1.05 on Pro, and also patch 1.06 in the performance mode and the quality mode on PS5. So I don't know what's going on there. Maybe something is happening that shouldn't be happening. Maybe they've changed some setting with Lumen. In terms of the performance mode, relative to the base PS5, I did some comparisons here. It's running a bit faster. I did some quick and dirty comparisons in that opening area, including that kind of hill downcline there, where performance is heavily impacted in the performance mode. Running a few FPS higher, not a big difference. So that's the performance mode. Basically solved. One minor quirk with the GI possibly. Basically fixed to my satisfaction.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your CPU giving you some challenges right here. I mean, look at the difference. The delta is not even significant. If you wanted to play Silent Hill, 2, you mean to tell me that you spent $280 for a 2-3 FPS difference? I need to find all the people that were yelling at me, telling me that, the value proposition was there. From what perspective, other than you just want a new shiny toy, which is fine. We all want shiny toys. It's nice to have shiny toys. I can tell you my shiny toys too, if that's the case, but we can't delude ourselves just because we want a new shiny toy.
Actually, at least as fixed as this game can be at the moment using a non-ray reconstruction solution, probably non-DLSS reconstruction solution. But the quality mode, still using PSSR. So I don't think there are any big changes there. It looks way different to the base PS5 version of the game in quality mode. Still a big image quality downgrade in my opinion. I would say the performance mode looks better in terms of image quality.
Well,
which
yeah.
Is a little stark. Pixel counts peg it as a flat 1080p in my counts, which is the exact same as Tom observed in patch 1.05. There you had no dynamic resolution and a 1080p base resolution. Performance is pretty similar to what Tom observed in that it doesn't stutter going down the hill, whereas the base machine does stutter going down the hill. Both capped at 30 FPS without obvious frame pacing issues that I observed. Maybe that's related to could be related to the faster GPU, struggling less with the resolution there. Or maybe some dynamic res going haywire on that base machine possibly. Or maybe it's traversal stutter alleviations a little bit with that higher clock CPU because you do have 10% more.
10% higher clock. I don't know, bro. It's the same CPU, right? If you were maybe getting like a CPU core that was actually much more efficient, then with the higher 10% clock, you'll see a difference there. You see a significant difference. But so far, this is not convincing. I mean, I'll stop the video here. Like I said, I would love to chart and continue this particular journey, looking at how the analysis are coming out, because it's very important that we, like I said, go back and make sure that this nonsense doesn't repeat itself again. Because the console manufacturers, they're not going to stop, right? They're going to come back with the oh, this is the greatest improvement in technology ever from what we had before. And then the hype men are going to jump and say, you see, it's going to be better than a so-and-so PC that is so-and-so much FPS. But that's always proving so far to be untrue, incorrect, because every game is going to respond, well or poorly to new technologies at the end of the day. Talk to me in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate you guys' time and audience, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.